the same problem keeps returning to your life, it may not be bad luck. It may be a message. If the same kind of person keeps hurting you, the same door keeps closing, the same fear keeps stopping you, or the same feeling keeps following you no matter where you go, maybe life is not punishing you. Maybe life is trying to get your attention, because the universe does not always speak through miracles. It does not always send a loud sign from the sky. It does not always give you a clear answer the moment you ask. It does not always make the path obvious. Sometimes, the universe speaks through repetition, through silence, through discomfort, through timing, through rejection, through the strange feeling in your chest that tells you something is not right, and most people miss the message. Not because the universe is silent, but because their life is too noisy. They are rushing, chasing, overthinking, trying to control every outcome, trying to force doors that were never meant to open. But the universe often speaks the clearest when you finally stop forcing. Think about your life for a moment. How many times did you ignore a feeling, only to realize later that your intuition was right? How many times did something fall apart, and at first you thought it was the end, but later you understood it was protection? How many times did you lose something you wanted, only to discover that life was making space for something you needed? At the moment it happened, it felt unfair. But time has a strange way of revealing meaning. What looks like rejection today may look like redirection tomorrow. What feels like delay today may become the reason you were saved from the wrong path. What feels like silence today may actually be preparation. The universe does not always give you what your ego wants. Sometimes it gives you what your soul needs. And that is why listening is not always easy, because sometimes the message is uncomfortable. Sometimes the message is stop going back to what broke you. Sometimes the message is you already know the answer, but you are afraid of what the answer requires. Sometimes the message is, this path is familiar, but it is no longer yours, and that is hard to accept. Because humans do not only hold on to what makes them happy, sometimes we hold on to what hurts us simply because it feels familiar. We call it love, we call it loyalty, we call it hope, but deep down we know when something is slowly taking our peace. And peace is one of the ways the universe speaks. Not excitement, not obsession, not anxiety disguised as passion. Peace. The right path may not always be easy, but somewhere inside it gives you room to breathe. The wrong path often makes you feel like you have to abandon yourself just to keep it. So pay attention to your body. Pay attention to what tightens your chest. Pay attention to what drains your energy. Pay attention to what makes you feel small. Pay attention to what gives you calm, even when the future is uncertain. Your body often hears the truth before your mind is ready to accept it. The universe also speaks through patterns. A pattern is a message that has not yet been understood. Maybe you keep attracting people who make you feel unworthy. Maybe you keep choosing situations where you have to prove your value. Maybe every time life gives you a chance to grow, fear convinces you to stay where it is safe, and then you wonder why nothing changes. But life will continue to repeat the lesson until you stop calling it coincidence. A pattern is not there to shame you. It is there to wake you up. It is life saying, look closer. There is something here you need to learn. And the moment you learn the lesson, the pattern begins to break. You stop choosing the same pain. You stop ignoring the same truth. You stop mistaking chaos for passion. You stop begging closed doors to become open ones. And suddenly, your life begins to shift. Not because the universe changed, but because you did. You became aware, and awareness is the beginning of transformation. But to hear the universe, you must become still. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is not doing nothing. Stillness is the space where your soul can finally speak without being interrupted by fear. Most people are terrified of stillness because stillness reveals what noise helps them avoid. When you sit quietly, you begin to hear the truth. You hear what you have been suppressing. You feel what you have been running from. You recognize what you have outgrown. And in that silence, The universe does not need to shout because you are finally listening. This is why some answers come when you stop searching so desperately. A thought appears in the shower. A solution comes during a walk. A memory returns at the perfect time. A person says something simple, but it reaches a deep place inside you. That is how guidance often works. It does not always arrive dramatically. Sometimes it arrives quietly. And because it is quiet, only the present can hear it. So if you want to listen to the universe, start by paying attention to what keeps returning. The thought that will not leave you, the dream that keeps calling you, the lesson that keeps repeating, the discomfort you keep explaining away, the peace you feel but cannot logically explain. Do not force meaning into everything. Not every number is a sign. Not every delay is destiny. Not every person is sent to teach you something profound. But when something repeats, when something touches your spirit, when something feels aligned beyond logic, pause. There may be a message there. Ask yourself, what is life trying to show me? What am I refusing to see? What am I being asked to release? What am I being guided toward? And then listen, not with panic, not with desperation, not with the need to control the answer. Listen with trust, because the universe does not always speak in the language of comfort. Sometimes it speaks through endings. A relationship ends. A plan fails. A door closes. A version of you disappears. And at first, it feels like loss. But not every ending is destruction. Some endings are invitations. An invitation to return to yourself. An invitation to choose differently. An invitation to become someone you could never become while holding on to the wrong life. There are moments when the universe removes what your hands were too afraid to release. And one day, you may look back and realize what you cried over was not taken from you. You were being freed from it. That is why you must learn to trust the timing of your life. Not everything is meant to arrive when you want it. Some things arrive when you are ready. Some blessings would become burdens if they came too early. Some doors would destroy you if they opened before you had the wisdom to walk through them. So when life slows you down, do not always assume you are falling behind. You may be being prepared. You may be being protected. You may be growing roots before you are allowed to rise. The universe is always speaking, but it speaks to the version of you that is willing to listen. Not the version of you that wants to control everything. Not the version of you that ignores every warning sign. Not the version of you that keeps choosing the same pain and calling it fate. It speaks to the quiet part of you. The honest part. The aware part. The part that knows there is more to your life than survival, fear, and repetition. So today, listen differently. Listen to what gives you peace. Listen to what keeps repeating. Listen to the doors that close without your permission. Listen to the opportunities that appear when you finally stop chasing what is not yours. Listen to the silence. Because silence is not empty. Sometimes silence is where the deepest answers are waiting. And maybe the sign you are looking for is not outside of you. Maybe it is the quiet knowing you keep ignoring. Maybe the universe has been speaking all along. Through every delay, every ending, every pattern, every moment of peace, every uncomfortable truth. And maybe the reason you are hearing this right now is not an accident. Maybe this is the reminder. Slow down, pay attention. Stop forcing what feels heavy. Stop ignoring what feels true. The universe is always speaking to you. The question is not whether you are being guided. The question is whether you are finally ready to listen.